Hey guys, DC Network here, coming at you with another video. Back in the mid-2010s, Cartoon Network started to experiment a little bit with their programming on the channel, in that they started to create Cartoon Network original miniseries. All throughout Cartoon Network's history, they created a plethora of series on the channel, but they never really toyed with the idea of creating a miniseries on Cartoon Network. Whenever they were coming up with a new property, it was something that was meant to go on for multiple seasons, of course, if it is successful, otherwise they would cancel it after season 1, like in the case of Symbionic Titan, even though that's a whole different story on why that show was canceled, but that's besides the point. So back in the mid-2010s, like I said before, Cartoon Network started experimenting with miniseries. Back in 2014, we got Over the Garden Wall. A year later, in 2015, we got Long Live the Royals, and I remember at the time, I was like, this is really cool. This is really awesome that every fall, Cartoon Network is going to be premiering a miniseries. They'll have a new idea, something cool and unique. Obviously, Over the Garden Wall had critical acclaim to it. It is a fantastic series. Long Live the Royal went under the radar for the most part. I feel like probably a lot of people watching this video don't even know what that series is, because I believe it was only 4 episodes long, and after it premiered in 2015, they never showed it on the channel again and have not talked about it. So that's a piece of Cartoon Network forgotten media, and one day might even be lost media, who knows. But after that, Cartoon Network just really stopped premiering miniseries on the channel outside of the few Adventure Time miniseries. They had Islands, they had Stakes, and I believe they also had one other miniseries as well in Adventure Time. I thought that was cool at the time, like, oh cool, they're doing Cartoon Network miniseries version of Adventure Time, like that's really cool. But at the same time, I feel like the whole point of miniseries on the channel was to create something new, to create something fresh that wouldn't fit in a long form series, but would fit perfectly and do well in a 10 episode miniseries or however long it was meant to be. I remember at the time when Infinity Train premiered its pilot on YouTube and it did really well and whatnot. At the time, many people were saying that that series was going to be a mini-series, and then all of a sudden when it came out, I remember when it premiered even on Cartoon Network, the 10 episodes aired, and it was a huge surprise that at the end of the last episode, at the end of the finale, one came on the screen and say, hey, more Infinity Train is coming, there's gonna be a second season of this show, and everyone was like, oh wow, I thought Infinity Train was only gonna be 1 season long, and all of a sudden we got more seasons from that. And in all honesty, that might be the reason why Infinity Train took so long to get greenlit, because what happened at the time at Cartoon Network, if you think about it, these miniseries were greenlit by Stu Snyder. Stu Snyder was the president of Cartoon Network up until 2013, and in 2014 Christina Miller took over, but obviously Over the Garden Wall was already ready to be aired at that point. Long Live the Royals was probably well into production at that point. So once Christina Miller took over, that's the time at which these miniseries stopped getting greenlit. We didn't see any more miniseries after Long Live the Royals outside of the 3 Adventure Time miniseries, which are built into the show. So in all honesty, I don't even know if I would count them as miniseries. They do have a different subtitle attached to them, like Stakes or Islands, but they're still Adventure Time. They're still a part of the Grand Adventure Time series. So that might be the reason, in all honesty, why Infinity Train took so long to get greenlit. It might have been meant to only be a miniseries in the beginning, but then Cartoon Network wouldn't greenlit it unless if they had a longer form story for the series with multiple seasons, because they didn't just want to produce 10 episodes and end it there, which in my opinion I think is stupid. I think there's a place for miniseries on the channel. Not everything has to be 4 to 5 seasons long. There can be a show that only has 10 episodes and that's it. I mean, look at Over the Garden Wall. I'll go back to that series. That series is fantastic. It has critical acclaim to it. There's people I know that don't watch animation that have heard of that series and said to me, yeah, Over the Garden Wall, I've heard that's fantastic. Should I watch it? Or there are even people that don't watch animation that I know that have seen that show and have said how good it is. So going forward, I really do hope that Cartoon Network begins to greenlit miniseries and have them premiere on the channel again, because like I said, not everything has to be multiple seasons long. It's okay to have a short series on the channel. All in all, it's just going to add more variety to your lineup. It's just going to add more viewers to your channel. They'll see that, hey, oh look, this miniseries looks interesting, let me go watch that. And then maybe after that show ends, they see a trailer for Unicorn Wars Eternal and they're like, that looks interesting, maybe I'll check that show out. Just getting more viewers to the channel opens your portfolio up to so many more people. Maybe someone who likes Over the Garden Wall comes on Cartoon Network if you air reruns of it and they're like, what's that thing, Craig of the Creek? That looks pretty interesting. Maybe I'll check that one out. And all of a sudden, Craig of the Creek has a new viewer. It has a new fan of that series. And going forward too, look, not every miniseries has to be a brand new idea. You can make a miniseries of an older property that you just want to bring it back for a short period of time, for 10 episodes or 15 episodes or whatever the case may be. be. I mean, Steven Universe Future isn't really considered to be a miniseries, but all it is one season consisting of 20 episodes, and that was it. It was an epilogue to Steven Universe. You could do the same thing with this show like regular show. Like, hey, why not make a 25 years later miniseries for regular show? Have it be 15 to 20 episodes long, just to show what our favorite characters are up to at the park 25 years after the original series concluded. All in all, I feel like having miniseries on the channel opens so many doors for Cartoon Network in the future. Like I said, you can bring back old properties in the form of a miniseries. You can make new ideas, have new IPs be created from a miniseries, and hey, who knows? If you have a show that does really well from a miniseries, for example, not apples to apples situation, but like Infinity Train, if you have a show that does that well, then you decide, hey, would you be interested in making more seasons of this show? Would you be interested in making more content from this universe? You can end up opening the door to a huge franchise. I mean, look at Infinity Train. Like I said before, everyone thought it was just a miniseries. We thought it was just the first season and that was it. Then we were all surprised at the end that, hey, there's another season coming. Whoa, that's awesome. Went on for 4 books. Obviously, it was supposed to go on for 8 seasons instead of 4, but it got canceled. But still, you created a huge fan base off of what was initially interpreted as just being a miniseries. You could do that in the future with a new property, but by not having miniseries on the channel, like I said, it's just adding less variety to your channel, and also you're cutting off a lot of potential viewers from Cartoon Network. Like, for example, what if the creator of Over the Garden Wall, he comes back to Cartoon Network to work on a miniseries, and people are like, oh wow, this is coming from that guy who made Over the Garden Wall? I don't watch Cartoon Network, but I love that show. I'm gonna come back to the channel just to see what his new miniseries is about. Then all of a sudden, that just adds more exposure to your channel. That adds more exposure to every other series that is on Cartoon Network, just because you have this one miniseries premiering that's only going to be on for 10 episodes. All in all, I really do feel like there's not much to lose from having miniseries on the channel. The one danger, I guess you could say, is if a miniseries, they spend the money to produce it, then all of a sudden it doesn't do well and it's a flop. You spent that money producing that one season of that show, and then that's basically it. But in all honesty, how much is it going to cost you to create 10 episodes? I don't think it would be that much of a loss, and I think it's worth the risk, because like I said, the exposure you're going to bring to Cartoon Network, the potential gains of it, that hey, if this series does so well like Infinity Train, it could go on for multiple seasons if the creator is interested in doing so. So in my opinion, I think it's something that Cartoon Network should explore again in the future. We'll have to wait and see if they do, because right now I feel like they probably won't, given that Warner Brothers Discovery isn't in the greatest financial standing. But we'll have to wait and see. Maybe one day miniseries get their own block on the channel. I think that would be something that would be really cool to see. Anyways, let me know in the comment section below what you guys think about all this. Do you guys agree with me that miniseries should come back to Cartoon Network, and they could potentially be something really cool on the channel, maybe even have their own block one day? If you guys enjoyed this video, be sure to leave a like and subscribe to see more content like this from DC Network. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.